Hi, everyone. This is Kenya. I am super excited. I'm the creator of all things Loop. And as you should know, Loop stands for Live It, Own It, Obtain It on Purpose. And you should already know that our mission is to put your purpose on display. We connect with leaders and influencers of color across all industries, giving space to their voices and celebrating the power that lives within their stories. And we're continuing our 28 days of Black celebrating of Black excellence. And today I have Deja. Hey, Deja.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I cannot complain.
Good, good. I think the first time we met was on the tour, correct?
Yes, yes, yep, in
Yeah,
DC. Yep.
in DC, and I think we've been staying connected with each other ever since then. So that's the power of like networking and connecting with one another. So I appreciate you coming on with me tonight.
It's always a pleasure. I always love the work that you're doing. So when I saw you posting about this series, I was like, oh, I would definitely want to be a part. So thank you for honoring my request, and I'm excited to talk to you today. So,
No, no problem. So let's just get started. How did you get started in your industry?
oh my goodness. So I always talk about like I'm a proud HBCU graduate. So I
Absolutely,
uh,
me too.
Yes, yes, yes. You already know. So I graduated from Clark Atlanta University, and
Hmm.
so I learned. I always knew that I wanted to study communications, and
Hmm.
so I was, going through what most college students go through, trying to figure out what they want to do in life.
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted to do something in communications at that time. Like my freshman year, I wasn't like 100% like sold on what I wanted to do. I thought I initially wanted to do like TV, broadcast journalism, and I realized like I'm not like that was not it was not what I thought it would be. I learned a
Yeah.
lot of skills that I now use like more so on the like content creator side of things for my business,
Mhm.
but I realized that I really loved doing PR, and I
Yeah.
was able to leverage a lot of the skills that I already possessed in that space, and so that's kind of like what I ran with. So just doing like internships in Atlanta and connecting and building up my network, and I've been in the industry pretty much for the past 10 years. So
Yeah.
that's how it started, all at college. So,
Yeah. So even when you was at Clark Atlanta, I know that you said that you did broadcast journalists. What are some other things that you did in school that pushed you further to PR?
oh my goodness. So, like writing, I was
Yeah.
very active on my campus's school paper, the radio station. So I was just doing at the time like a lot of things that were very like pretty much essentially preparing me to be a strategic communicator. So working on the event side of things, like being active with the student radio station. So we would have like a lot of like artists, of course, that would want to, be a part of the Atlanta market, the Black Atlanta college market at that. So we were always like having different talent come to visit. Um, Also, again, writing for the school paper. I was like an editor at the school paper, so writing stories and coming up with ideas. Um, Also, like one of my internship two of my internships were very pivotal in I can't talk right now. Very
No, you good.
instrumental in the my career. So I interned at like a few smaller like boutique PR firms, and that also was like my first introduction into like seeing like PR entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
because like I went to school maybe between like 2008 and 2012. So like of course like Atlanta being that hub for like, Black excellence, of course, but like
Yeah.
really seeing like Black entrepreneurs and it just being like a common thing, not like, it was just a normal. So
Hmm.
really like seeing like these Black women establish themselves, but also another opportunity too. Like I leverage my connections of like alumni from my school. And so we had this event called Pause the Cause, and I was able to network with alumni, and like one of those women that I connected with actually like worked at a record label, and
Hmm.
so because of that, she worked at Atlantic Records, and so she was like the promotional director of the region, and so I was able to kind of just like create an internship with her and help her do things like on the talent side, and like when artists would come to like the radio station in Atlanta and like help them go on like a tour and do their like different activations to promote their music. So I was able to get just like so much like hands-on experience just from being intentional about where I chose to, go to school. So I knew I wanted to be in the
Yeah.
city. I knew I wanted to have access to certain opportunities. Also, just like having like that support system there, because like I had family there. My dad lived in Atlanta at the time too, so it was just very like helpful to like have all those different things like in my favor at the time. So
Yeah, absolutely. So what's your definition of Black excellence?
my definition of Black excellence is really just being confident, being
Mm,
a thought leader in whatever your respective industry. And I think it's just really carving out a lane for yourself, doing what it is
yeah.
that you want to do and what makes you happy, and not doing things just to be like performative, but like, you know, really setting the pace, setting the trend, and really trying to make an impact while doing that. So that's what my definition of excellence, Black excellence, is. Also like creating a path for other people to come after,
Mm,
creating more opportunities for other people to come after you.
yeah. How do you feel that you are contributing to the culture?
Oh my goodness. I'm just
you
going. I
you
don't
doing it. You doing it.
and it's so funny because like even like my business coaches, they'll be like, "You're so humble. Like you don't ever like talk." It's still weird for me to be like, "Oh, I do all
Yeah.
these things," because I don't look at it like that. I'm just living my dream. I'm doing the things
Yeah.
that I like to do. I'm doing
In
things that
your
make me
lane.
happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just staying in my lane. And so a part of that is, I'm just being me, being true to
Mhm.
myself, and I'm doing work that matters to me, and I'm being intentional about like how I'm creating opportunities for other people to not necessarily like follow suit, but if they want to take a similar path, like they can do that because success leaves clues. So I try to be very intentional about the footprint that I'm leaving so that people
Mhm.
can see that. Like I don't want success to be like, especially like for people like me, women of color, Black women,
Mhm.
I don't want success to be something that's not obtainable. I want people to intentionally
Yeah.
be like, this is a blueprint that she left. Like I'm very transparent, I'm very open, especially like in my content. Like I don't
Mhm.
want to like gatekeep things. Like I'm very
Mhm.
intentional about like not gatekeeping things, because I just feel like historically there's been a lot of things that we haven't had access to, and now because
Yeah.
we have the internet, we can see all these different things that were not necessarily like available to us before. So
Yeah. I think one of the things, and I'll tell you this now, how you are
mhm.
contributing to the culture. I
Oh,
just
thank you.
believe, no, I do. I've watched you since we've been, in DC. I
Mhm.
think you're very much humble, but I also think you're making boss moves. Like,
Oh, thank
like
you. I try,
somebody,
girl.
right,
Yeah.
right. But but then have sometimes some people look at you and they may not know all the success that comes with that person, and I think you haven't even scratched the surface of probably what people know you for.
Mhm.
You probably don't even tell people
No,
about
I
all
don't.
the projects
Yeah.
all the projects that you really have worked on that we've
Mhm.
probably been privileged to like look at and like, yo, Deja did that, so I
Mhm.
do believe that is a part of contributing to the culture as well.
Thank
So
you.
yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
No, no problem. So what's your definition of living in your purpose?
I think living in your purpose is one, being honest with yourself and understanding that you do have a calling and you do have a responsibility. So I think
Yeah.
one, just like accepting with that call, and understanding that sometimes it's not always going to be the easiest role. So I think for me personally, like living with my purpose, like I try to like sometimes like fight things, because like I'm like, you know, I always explain it as like, for instance, like being an entrepreneur, like that's not, normal. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that's not a lot of people. It's starting to become a newer normal for people, but I feel
Mhm.
like even like with some of my friends, which is okay, like I mean, it's pretty much probably like half and half for me. Like some of my friends are entrepreneurs and some of them are not. But I will say like maybe some of them, and then depending on how you break it down further, like, okay, do they have like side hustles or things like that? But like for
Yeah.
me, like being a full-time entrepreneur is still like something it's starting to become more normal, and not, I don't even
Yeah.
want to say accepted, it is, but for me, it's just like, coming from where I'm coming from, like, I'm kind of like uh stepping into new territories, right? Like I'm the
Mhm.
first like full like time like entrepreneur in my family. Like I'm the first person like in my family that's like, done a lot of things that like are not normal to do, in terms of
Yeah.
like the legacy and history of that. So to me, like, to get back to your question, walking in your purpose is sometimes answering that calling and doing the things that needs to be done regardless of whether it's comfortable for you or not. Like, it's not, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna lie, like, it's not always comfortable for me to be like, yeah, I want to be a full-time entrepreneur. Like, it seems like
Right.
when you see all these things, but it's a lot of glamorous stuff, that unglamorous stuff that happens behind the scenes, where it's just like, dang, like, do I need to get a job?
Right.
So
Where's
yeah,
the next 9 to 5 I can go to?
right. Can I do this? Like, I don't know. So yeah.
That's my whole thing, Deja. Like, I'm cool with being an entrepreneur, but I like consistency
Mhm.
and I like stability.
Yep.
And I know, everybody glorifying entrepreneurship, which I am. I do believe in it. I do believe it. But then at the end of the day, it's like, listen,
Yeah.
I
You gotta do what
that
works for
not
you.
yeah, that stability of having a check every 2 weeks looks good and it feels good for me. I don't like
Mhm.
the up and down of not
Yeah.
knowing, what I'm gonna make 1 month, and then I got kids, I got
Mhm.
bills, like no, I don't like that. So yeah,
Mhm.
definitely,
No,
definitely.
I totally get it. Yep. I've had long therapy sessions about this with my therapist, and really it's just like,
Wow.
creating your reality, and like, what's even
What's
like,
best for you?
yeah, with the conversation of stability, like, you define what that is for you,
Yeah.
right? Because like, ain't nothing stable for real, for real. Like, these jobs are stable,
Absolutely.
layoffs happening left and right. So it's just like
Bank of
you have to,
America just went down. Like, that's not
Mhm.
stable.
Yeah.
That's not stable at all. So no, absolutely. Who have you looked up to that defines Black excellence?
Oh my goodness, so many entrepreneurs. I think like
Mhm.
the my first stab at like, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur was, or thought, when I was like in high school, my senior year of high school, and I
Mhm.
wanted to go on a path of like entrepreneurship, and I was like, I knew I wanted to study communication. So I was like, going through that, like, talk with my counselor, and like, and I told her, like, I want to be an entrepreneur. And she was like, well, you can do that, but what, like, field, and definitely, like, you want to work in the field that you want to eventually open a business. And I was like, I want to be like
Mhm.
Oprah. So I thought, right?
Right, right.
I thought I was gonna be like Oprah, and then I realized, like, yeah, I don't, the TV stuff, no.
Yeah, no, that's not for me.
No, and it's funny. Like, now I'm doing a little bit of those things. Like, especially like now that there's this whole like thing of content creation, and that's
Mhm.
starting to become like another new stream for me as well, outside of like just doing PR. But definitely Oprah. I would definitely say, um, people like Marvette Brito, so the Brito agency,
Mhm.
Nicole Garner. So I did use, like, attend some of her events and do like some internship work with her while I was in Atlanta, coming up in school. So those are
Mhm.
people that I look up to. And I just look up to the everyday like girl boss. Like, I look
Mhm.
up to my peers. I look up to my business partner. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
success doesn't have to be so unattainable. So I look up to a
Mhm.
lot of people that are like, within 6 degrees of separation of me, honestly. Like, those
Yeah.
are my role models, like actual role models, people that I can like call and have conversations with, like people like my business coach.
Mhm.
I look up to her because, like, like, yeah, like, while we're like, essentially like close in like age and we're peers, like, she has a different set of skills than what I have. So those are the type of women
Yeah.
that I look up to. So.
Yeah. What's the next steps for you? What can we support? How can we support?
So I know my business partner Reagan and I were actually working. We're gonna work on our first like event series. So
Yay.
don't want to really send us the details yet, but it will be in
Yay.
Atlanta. But yeah, we want to start doing like our own events. Now
Mhm.
that it's 2023, I think people are definitely like
Coming back
comfortable.
out.
Yeah, we want to do our own stuff. We're always, doing events for clients, but like we need to have our own things as well too. So I think
Yeah.
that's definitely like a focus for us this year.
Absolutely. So how can we follow you?
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram. So at IAM, then Deja, Deja, Monet, Monee. And that's on all platforms,
Mhm.
TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. So
Thank
YouTube
you
as
so
well.
much, Deja. I appreciate you for coming
Yeah.
on. It is always a pleasure to chat it up with you and
Yes.
to see, what's going on with you. So you guys go follow Deja. Go follow her on all platforms. PR, they are the ones to go to. So make sure you go follow them and support as well. If nothing else, see you guys next time on All Things Loop.